Benji. Hi, happy to see so many people here that are excited about Ethereum. My name is Fredrik Svantes. I lead the protocol security team at the Ethereum Foundation. And I'm also one of the co-chairs of the $1 trillion security initiative that we're going to be speaking about today. With me, I have my co-speaker, Mehdi.
Thanks, Fredrik. It's an honor to be here today. I'm a co-founder of Sigma Prime. We're a blockchain security and research firm. We're also Ethereum core developers, but we're here to talk today about something really, really close to our hearts, the 1TS initiative. Before Fredrik walks us through the nitty-gritty, the specifics of what we're trying to achieve, we thought it was quite important to make sure that everybody understands how important Ethereum security is for everyone. And I mean everyone, not just people in this room. We already have today millions of people using Ethereum. And when we say millions, we're not talking about millions of wallets or millions of accounts. We're talking about millions of people, human beings, actually putting real economic value and trust into a system with no central operator. This is probably unprecedented in the history of public infrastructure. Talking about economic value, there's already a lot happening on Ethereum. Over $500 billion worth of value is secured using over 1 million validators that have staked over 35 million ETH today. The uptime is also something that we should all really, really be proud of. 10 years of uninterrupted uptime for Ethereum. Ethereum is the home of stablecoins, hosting over $180 billion worth of stablecoins across mainnet and its L2s. And we also have 70 billion, if not more, 75 billion, last time I checked this morning, of TVL on our DeFi ecosystem. This is great, and when preparing these slides, I came across this number, which really blew my mind. $2.8 trillion in October alone of stablecoin on-chain volume, with Circle's USDC taking the lion's share with just over $1.6 trillion. So this is all very promising and very exciting. But as I'm sure you know, a lot of that value has been stolen by threat actors. As of today, $15 billion worth of value has been hacked from Ethereum and its ecosystem. $2 billion in just the first half of this year. Balancer's recent exploitation was unfortunately a pretty grim reminder of the importance of smart contract security. However, I invite everyone to zoom out, step back, and look at these losses over the past 18 months. The vast majority of them aren't related to smart contract security. They're unfortunately due to poor Web2 security hygiene and poor key management practices. I think we have to acknowledge that each hack challenges the trust the public has in Ethereum. And we believe that Ethereum is the most secure blockchain. You know, we could argue metrics and whatnot. Both of us are really convinced that's the case. It's been battle tested for over a decade now, but it's not enough. As Fredrik eloquently put it in an interview, we are the most secure chain, but that's not really our objective. Our objective is to make Ethereum civilization scale infrastructure. So our ambition goes way beyond blockchains. We want Ethereum to become the backbone of the internet, the backbone of the global economy. We want people, billions of people, feeling confident, transacting on a daily basis on Ethereum, be it individuals, institutions, governments, corporations. There's a long road ahead, but we already started seeing the institutional world embrace Ethereum. I was privileged to attend the New York Blockchain Week a couple of weeks ago. I've had amazing conversations with Wall Street leaders, and I was really blown away by how much they're willing to build on the network we all love. A couple of examples on the screen. JP Morgan has led the way, and BlackRock has launched its money market fund, the Beetle Fund, tokenizing treasury on Ethereum. I'll pass it over to Fredrik to talk us through what 1TS actually means.
Thank you. So the scenario that Mehdi just described about being civilizational scale, having billions of users, etc., might seem far-fetched to some people or even says science fiction. But as mainnet launched, a snowball was set in motion that's just been accelerating in speed and growth. And at this point, we're at a stage where what Mehdi described is actually unavoidable. Ethereum is the most secure, resilient, and trusted blockchain in this ecosystem and across the world. But as Mehdi again mentioned, we cannot settle with that. We actually have to keep improving and build upon what we have today so that the next billion of people can start using this technology. So to help accelerate this progress, we launched a project called the $1 Trillion Security Project, or 1TS, earlier this year. And we need to arrive at a point where basically we can have billions of individuals who are comfortable holding more than $1,000 on-chain, collectively amounting to over $1 trillion. And we also need to have companies, institutions, governments, etc., feel comfortable storing at least $1 trillion in a single smart contract or on-chain application, and are also comfortable transacting in such large amounts on-chain. So at the Ethereum Foundation, we have Josh and I, who are the co-chairs of this project. We also have the digital studio team that's been helping out with a lot of the efforts. We have Laura, we have Jason, we have Tyler, who have also been supporting this. And we have just recently signed with a new person who will be spending their full time coordinating this effort to help accelerate it even further. And to ensure we stay the course, we also have ecosystem stewards. We have Sam Sun, who is running Security Alliance. We have Zach, who is one of the co-creators of Etherealize. And we have Mehdi here, who is one of the co-founders of Sigma Prime. But with that said, this is not an initiative that we, as in Ethereum Foundation, the stewards, or any other single entity can handle on its own. Especially not if we want to do it with the scale and speed that we are envisioning delivering on this, basically. So instead, we have been working with many people and entities and projects within the ecosystem to help advance and accelerate the solution space so that we can arrive at the point which Mehdi just described. For 1TS to be successful, we identified 3 different phases that we will need to complete. The first phase is the mapping phase, where we gather input from across the ecosystem. We have the execution phase, where we take that input and start delivering improvements based on that. And then we have the communication phase, which I think is something that we continuously need to improve upon, basically to describe how and why Ethereum is the most secure blockchain in the world. So during the mapping phase, which we have now completed, we spoke with over 500 people from across the ecosystem, speaking with people such as developers, gamers, traders, institutions, protocols, stablecoin issuers, etc., etc. Basically to get their insight into what areas of security that they feel are necessary in order to reach the objectives that we have set. From these discussions, we ended up with 6 different focus areas. The first one is the UX and wallets, which was brought up in every single call. This is a big concern to many people, especially around the complexity to understand the outcome of transactions, as well as key management issues such that Mehdi mentioned. Smart contracts, while having had a decline in the amount of hacks, still continues to be a source of concern, because many people still have this fear of interacting with smart contracts, as they could end up losing their funds in some cases. Infrastructure and cloud is one of the areas that Mehdi mentioned where we're seeing this kind of growth in hacks at the moment. As smart contract security has improved, the attackers are moving to the other type of layer which they can attack, which is the infrastructure that's powering the front ends for smart contracts interactions, for example. This is something that we need to also improve upon. Monitoring in IR is about incident response and monitoring to be able to detect when a hack happens and being able to react when it does. We already see some big efforts in this place today, such as the Security Alliance and its SEAL 911 initiative, which is being run by PCI Versace. The consensus protocol is something that has not received as much concerns, most likely partly because we've had over a decade of uptime. We haven't seen a serious security incident, but we cannot forget that the protocol is super important. We need to keep securing it, especially considering things like post-quantum and other things. The social layer and governance area is about staking centralization. It can be about being concerned about how governments will treat Ethereum and those kind of aspects. So taking that, and this might sound kind of bleak, like I'm pulling up a lot of kind of negative aspects, but if we don't know the issues, then obviously we can't fix them. So the good news is that we're already starting to see improvements in many of these areas, which we believe will have a ton of positive impact on the whole ecosystem. For example, we have WalletBeat, which is creating a minimum security standard for wallets. It's also creating these kind of stages where wallets can progress upon, depending on the security, privacy, and censorship resistance levels that they're at, similar to L2Beat. We are also working on an initiative for securing smart contracts, where we're collecting previously found vulnerabilities in this ecosystem, amounting to hundreds of thousands of potential weaknesses found through audits, through contests, etc. Putting that in a public data set that LLM providers and others can then use to train their models to become even better at finding vulnerabilities before contracts are deployed on-chain. Transactions assertions is basically a way to allow people to set rules before they make the actual transaction and then have the protocol itself verify that the outcome of the transaction is what the user intended before it's actually written on chain. Something else that's super important if we're going to reach 1 billion people is that we need to create wallets that are more beginner friendly. Tomas mentioned that we have a wallet page today, which is super good. Many of them, however, require a bit of technical understanding in order to use them. And to reach the next billions of people, we need to have wallets that are basically foolproof and won't have a possibility to lead to user losses, etc. The verifiable frontends is a project where we take the issue that was mentioned previously about frontends being compromised. We need to have the verifiable frontends in order to protect users from a malicious threat actor taking over a website, changing JavaScript from something that's non-malicious into malicious, which could potentially mean that you will end up losing your funds when you're signing a contract. Removing blind signing is definitely the most critical thing that we have to fix. Many of you have probably done transactions on chain, and when you're interacting with contracts, you might have seen something such as you're interacting with this public address, you're seeing a bunch of random call data, and then you kind of have to cross your fingers and hope that you don't lose all your money. This is something that we need to fix. We need to make sure that people see very clearly what the outcome of the transaction is going to be, so that they can make a factual decision whether or not to interact with the contract. The third phase is the communication phase. Here, as I mentioned, we need to become much better at communicating that Ethereum is the most secure, resilient, and trusted blockchain ecosystem in the world. To do that, the Digital Studio team at the EF, together with Josh, have been working on a new progress website that basically provides information about all the projects that we're working on, such as the ones I mentioned, and shows a progress bar where we're at, what kind of topics we would need more people from the ecosystem to come and help with, etc. Yeah, that's where we're at right now. So back to Mehdi.
Thank you. Thanks, Fredrik. Why should you care? And how to get involved if you'd like to help. Well, I think everyone here should care because this is a strong signal that the Ethereum community is providing to the world. We are raising the bar. The security posture of Ethereum is going to increase across its entire ecosystem, across all the layers that users interact with. The end game, as Thomas alluded to earlier, is to have billions of people trusting Ethereum on a regular basis. And we want everyone to be able to transact on Ethereum with confidence. Remote farmers in developing countries, top CFOs and CEOs of Fortune 100 companies, everyone should hopefully feel safe on our lovely chain. And in order for us to achieve that, we need your help. We can't expect the EF alone to be fixing all these problems. It's obviously not how we operate. We need you to tell us what your pain points are. 1TS isn't about telling anyone what to do. It's about creating places where builders can collaborate on the security problems that affect all of us. So for builders in the room, you may have security concerns when building on Ethereum. Are there any blocking points, perhaps, standing between you and the next wave of growth? Do you need more users? And can we do anything to unlock that next leg of growth? Protocol researchers, there's so much that can be done through joint collaboration. And I think collaboration here is the key. And I just want to be explicit here. 1TS is not a procurement channel. A lot of people have started coming to us, pitching their proprietary protocols, their token-powered solutions. We cannot enshrine anything that is not open source in Ethereum. Open source first, always. It's always been Ethereum's culture, and 1TS is carrying that mission. So if you're coming to us with ideas, please make sure that they're forkable, auditable, and more importantly, community-owned. Thank you. Blind signing is a plague. We strongly believe that the solution is not about taxing users to transact safely. I'd like to think that everyone in this room believes that Ethereum has the security, the decentralization, the engineering culture to become the foundation of the world's financial infrastructure. And this initiative, 1TS, is essentially how we make that future safe. Thank you.
Thank you both. Jack. Thank you both so much. So we have a bunch of questions, and again, thank you to the audience for asking these questions. They're honestly really great. So we only have time for 3.
Yep.
But one, do you think the demand for security researchers will increase in the coming years, and won't they be replaced by AI agents or the like?
Yeah, sure. So I definitely think there will be an increase in demand. I think that, well, I think an increase in demand will come from the fact that people are using AI even more, actually, especially today. I think even in the future, if you're looking at things from a, if they are way more advanced, I do think that there will still be a need or necessity for human beings to kind of operate them and get them to actually understand what they're about to do. So there might not be as much of a need for, let's say, junior security people, but definitely on a more architectural level and such, I think there will be a big demand.
If I may just add very briefly from the perspective of a security firm, our clients are pumping code like crazy using AI tools. It just increases the demand for code reviews and secure code reviews as of now.
Awesome. What are your thoughts on the potential impact of quantum computing on ETH security?
Yeah, look, I'm no cryptography expert, but I think it's very apparent that if there's one ecosystem that is geared and equipped to face that challenge, it's ours. A lot of others are just pretending that this won't be a problem. We're tackling this head-on, funding a lot of research, and actually starting building some of those post-quantum cryptography primitives.
There's a lot of foresight involved in all of that.
Yeah, I mean, just in the EF, we have people that are focusing completely on this particular topic. So yeah, it's definitely something that's being taken into a lot of consideration.
Okay, another AI question. Would you want a ZK EVM question or an AI question?
You pick.
Okay, let's do a little separate one. ZK EVMs seem like a massive change. How does Ethereum stay secure while replacing its core by bleeding edge tech that is not battle tested yet?
Yeah, this is, I guess it would be interesting to hear your perspective as well. From my point of view, this is kind of similar to the way we did the merge, where we had the execution layer at one point alone, and then we kind of did this, the merge, where we introduced the consensus layer. This was obviously a very big shift, and I think we're looking at things from at least a similar scale, where we need to put a lot of focus and efforts. From a security point of view, we're already starting to ramp up with this. There are also already a lot of entities that are working on securing ZK EVMs, etc. So from a security point of view, I'm sure we're going to be more than ready for it, but it's definitely a paradigm shift that we're going to have to think about. But I would be interested to hear your point of view from a consensus layer.
The way I look at it, ZK security today is where Solidity security was in 2016. Very immature, not many people who can reason about these concepts. So I think the same way we managed to onboard a heap of security researchers to comfortably review Solidity code, we have to invest in training these people, onboarding more of them to focus on ZK primitives. And that's the type of stuff we do at SIGP. Shout out to Rare Skills, who's hosted a week of collaborative learning. We sent a couple of our guys, and they came back very excited about the future of securing ZK stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look into the future of the security and blockchain, it's definitely the one area that you should probably spend quite a lot of time on to be ready for when it comes.
It's such a core facet of it, and especially as we get new users, developers, institutions, how do they view this? Like, from your understanding, like, how important is this for their operations? When you think like institutions coming on chain, et cetera, like, in your mind, where does security lie in that?
I mean, it's critical. The time I spent in NYC past couple of weeks was a very strong reminder that these institutions are looking really closely at how we tackle these problems. We got to bear in mind that they have decades, if not in some cases centuries, of experience dealing with risk management, fraud prevention, secure design, right? We tend sometimes in our lovely bubble to discard all of that, but it was actually fascinating to hear how they think about these problems. And they're looking at how we're responding, and they're looking at it very closely. And I believe some of them, from the feedback I gathered, are extremely, extremely excited about 1TS.
Yeah, and I can say that from all the conversations I had with institutions, every single one of them said that security is the least concern with regards to Ethereum. They very much understand that Ethereum is the most secure blockchain in the world, and that's definitely being reflected by the choices they make when choosing where to deploy.
Awesome. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.